Hi, I'm Alex Lumley here for WHBS TV. Today we're doing our very first off-the-shelf segment. I'm joined today by Beth Kuilman from Westlake Porter Public Library. Beth, thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Now, what is your role at the library?
I am an associate in the children's department. I wear a lot of hats at the library. I do story times, which is one of my favorite things to do. I also help patrons find materials on the shelves. I place holds for them, set up meeting rooms, things like that if I need to for them, schedule events in the department, do a lot of computer work.
Okay. What does early literacy mean and why is it so important?
Early literacy is everything that a child is doing before they can actually learn to read and write. Early literacy is everything from a baby chewing on a book, the toddler learning to turn the pages in the book, and the preschooler wanting the same story read over and over and over.
Right.
The Every Child Ready to Read program put together what they call 6 early literacy skills that they feel children need in order to succeed when they begin to read.
Okay.
And they have recently added 5 simple practices, what they call, that also enhance learning and learning to read.
Well, welcome into our preschool area at the library. We have several things we're going to show you today that help with early literacy, early learning, and beginning to read. First off, we're going to start over here with our puzzle table. We rotate these puzzles regularly. There's a bunch of different ones, but a lot of them we have letter puzzles, like this one that helps with letter recognition. And we also have a newer addition, which is this little writing board right here for the kids, where they can write something on here or just even scribble on there. Also helps with motor skills, but can help with the learning to write as well. And it erases really easy. And we'll bring these puppets out for the kids to play with, and they just love putting on little puppet shows and having a good time with their grown-ups.
Can you describe for us what these 6 early literacy skills and the 5 simple practices are?
Sure. 6 early literacy skills. First off, you have letter knowledge. Which is knowing that letters are different from each other, recognizing that they have different shapes. Mm-hmm. There's vocabulary, which is knowing the names of things, pretty easy.
Right.
There's print motivation. Print motivation means the ability to interact with and enjoy a book. There's print awareness, which is a child noticing print everywhere, whether it's on signs, on a grocery box, anything like
right.
that. There's also phonological awareness, which is when a child becomes aware of the different sounds and sound clusters that are in words. And finally, there is narrative skills. And narrative skills is just talking and the ability to tell events or to tell a story.
We also have a collection of awe stations. What these are is an interactive learning station for preschoolers as well as early elementary school. And they're preloaded with a bunch of different learning-based games. They have reading games, math, geography, they have art and music, also basic what they call reference, which would be typing. There's a dictionary, there's an encyclopedia loaded in here as well. And the kids can also, not only learn all of those things, but they're learning how to use a mouse, they're learning how to click and point at things, they're learning how to choose things on the screen, all critical things for when you're starting school.
For the 5 simple practices that they added, they seem like common sense, but they've shown how simple things like writing helps with motor skills.
Right.
Talking, of course, is going to enhance the narrative skills. Mm-hmm. Playing encourages socialization and creativity. Singing is very good for phonological awareness because of all the rhyme
right.
that happens in singing. And of course, reading.
Okay. How can parents encourage these skills at home?
Probably they do a whole lot already and they don't even realize it.
Right.
For letter knowledge, for example, you could be pointing out letters on the cereal box, on a book, things like that. You could get some of those plastic letters that are like magnetized and they go on the refrigerator and they can play with those letters. For print motivation, that's pretty much making, for them, making any kind of interaction with a book a positive thing. That they can play with the books, they can chew on them if they want to. But just making their interactions with books seem more positive.
Okay.
For print awareness, noticing print everywhere is just pointing it out. For example, you're in the grocery store and you put a box of cereal in the cart. Oh, look, it's Fruit Loops, or it's it's Cheerios, and just pointing out the letters and the words and getting them to notice that.
Okay.
Narrative skills, all sorts of things. Tell me what you're doing. Oh, you're playing with your dolls or whatever. What are they doing? Well, they're having a tea party. Really? What kind of what kind of tea do they have? Are they going to serve cookies? And just getting them to talk to you, to tell you a story, to go from point A to point B, or even looking at a picture in a book and saying, "Oh, what's the mother duck doing in this picture?" Phonological awareness, any kind of rhyming that you can do with them. The fat cat sat on the mat, anything like that.
Dr. Seuss.
Yes, lots of Dr. Seuss. He's
Right.
very, very good at the rhymes. Even if they're nonsense words, they're still going to be learning those little rhyming things. They're going to be recognizing the rhythm in those patterns.
Okay.
I think print awareness would be the last one, and that's handling a book and noticing how the words go on the page. Where if you're reading to a child and say you have this A soundbox book, you're just going to be helping them go across the page. You can even just put your finger underneath it and say, "Oh, into my sound box."
Okay.
And they'll start to make the connection between how that sounds and how it looks.
Christina's Corner was donated to the library after the attack on the Twin Towers in 2001. A Westlake High School student named Christina Yuk was killed in the tower crash. And so her family donated this corner for us. What we have is a little interactive book collection over here. It's a nice collection of pop-up books that children can share with their grown-ups, and it enhances the book reading experience because you have the animals are popping out of the book at you. This is our easy reader wall. When children are beginning to read, this is where they come. We've made it pretty easy to find stuff back here. We created a system of colored dots that are on the spines of the books, and each one of the dots, each one of the colors represents either early emergent reading, where they're just starting to put words together, recognize words on the page, put them in a sentence, all the way up to what we call fluent readers back here. Fluent readers would be, they're reading chapters, they're reading on their own, they don't need much, if any, help from a grown-up. There's a whole big collection of books back here, from things that are very, very simple, that just have a few words on a page, and then it goes up into higher levels, and all the way up to what we would call a blue, which is a fluent reader, and there's a whole lot more text on the page. It's a lot smaller. In addition to our hardcover books that we have here, we also have some book sets. Like this one, for example, it comes in a bag, and there's probably 10 little books in here that you can share with your child, and these are just a bunch of adventures about Danny the dog. And they're just little books. They've just got a little sentence and a picture. Some of these have sight words at the end of them. Some of them have questions at the end about the story, like where was Danny going in the car, things like that. All of these low shelves here are our picture book section. Picture books they're not just pictures. They're definitely pictures and text together. Some of them can be very easy. Some of them can be very long and involved. They're meant to be shared between a grown-up and a child. There's so many different types you can't even begin to imagine. You know, there's classics, there's brand new, we've got characters. They're not just for little kids either. You can read picture books all the way up through adulthood. A lot of times we've had grown-ups come in and they have a new baby in the house, or they're just starting to really read with their toddler, and they tell us, oh, I haven't read Make Way for Ducklings for years and years. I totally forgot about it. They rediscover their childhood through reading these books with their kids, and maybe even their love of reading, which is very good.
And based off what you just said about reading a book to a child, what's the best way to read a book to a child?
There is no one best way.
Okay.
The main thing about reading to a child and with a child, I think, is to make it as positive of an experience as possible. When kids are really little, you may not be able to get through a whole story, and that's okay. If they only want to read a couple of pages of Make Way for Ducklings and then they want to go play again, that's okay. Their attention span is going to get longer as they get older. You want to make your stories engaging if at all possible. If you can do some voices or even add a prop. If, you know, say you wanted to read The Pokey Little Puppy and say you had a puppy toy, you could add that into it to make it a little more engaging.
Right.
There's definitely ways not to read a story. For example, a way to not read a story would be to read in a monotone.
5 little puppies dug a hole under the fence and went for a walk in the wide, wide world. Through the meadow they went, down the road, over the bridge, across the green grass and up the hill, one right after the other. And when they got to the top of the hill, they counted themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Very boring.
It's very boring, yeah. Right. Another way that you wouldn't want to read would be too fast. I smell something, said the pokey little puppy. Then the 4 little puppies began to sniff, and they smelled it too. Rice pudding, they said.
Now, where in the world is that pokey little puppy, they wondered, for he certainly wasn't on top of the hill. He wasn't going down the other side. The only thing they could see going down was a fuzzy caterpillar.
Way too fast for children.
The child's not going to be able to keep up with you.
Right.
Another thing that you would want to avoid when you're reading with your child are distractions.
Rice pudding, they said, and home they went, as fast as they could go, over and over. Hold on. Sorry. And sure, there enough, there was dinner waiting for them.
You know, having your cell phone constantly buzzing in your pocket because somebody's texting you, or you know, wanting to check your Facebook update or something in the middle of the story. If you keep interrupting it,
So focus from the adult room to the child.
definitely so. Yes,
Okay.
they will definitely learn what you are modeling.
Okay. Now, if someone would say to you, a parent would say to you that I'm too busy to sit and read to my child, and that they could use the computer, they could watch TV, and it would have the same effect, how would you respond to that?
My response would be that you can never take back time.
Okay.
That you may think that you don't have time to read to your child right now, but before you know it, they're going to be off your lap. They're going to be in school. They're going to be spending more time with their friends than they are with you. They're going to be driving a car. They're going to, you know, they're going to be taller than you. The time of that early childhood and that early literacy and learning to read, it passes so quickly. And I think it's important for a child to know that you are willing to spend time with them. And sitting down one-on-one with your child, or 1-on-3 with all your children, and reading with them and reading them a story is not only engaging them and, you know, allowing them to, you know, to learn these literacy skills, but it's also showing them that they're important to you.
It's a bonding experience.
Very
then.
much,
Right.
very much so, yes.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming today, Beth. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks so much
This
for
has
having
been,
us.
No problem. This has been WHBS TV with our very first Off the Shelf segment. Thanks for watching.